Hello, good morning to everyone. Sorry to keep you waiting. Just had a problem with my connection. So let's have our daily briefing for today. And yesterday, there's nothing much, but for today's economic data, we have to focus on some notable data, especially on the European zone and the US session. So to start things off, during the European session, we have the claimant count change for UK. So the previous data is negative 114.8K the previous month, followed by the unemployment rate as well. So the previous data was 4.8% and forecasted at 4.8%. And the release time for unemployment rate and claimant count change later at 2 p.m. Followed by the GDP for Eurozone quarterly basis during the second quarter. So the previous data was 2% and forecasted at 2% as well. And also we have the yearly basis for Eurozone for the GDP second quarter. So previous and forecasted same at 3.7%. So GDP data for Eurozone for quarterly and yearly basis will be released later at 5 p.m. And for the US session, we have retail sales monthly basis for the month of July. So the previous data was 0.6% and forecasted at lower, which is negative 0.2%. So for the release time later, 8:30 p.m. And for our key products for today, first things we have the euro against the US dollar. So during the Asian sessions of this moment, the current price is around the 1.1771. Now for the euro dollar, yesterday it's actually struggled to regain the momentum above the 1.1800 territory. But if we're going to look on the technical point or aspect of this pair, so the euro dollar is currently on the neutral to bearish, neutral to bullish in my opinion, since we have eurozone data. But if you're going to look on the technical indicators like RSI, so the euro dollar is currently on the overbought territory and aiming to recover. But on the fundamental side, since we have data for the eurozone, so the GDP will be released for the second quarter, which is foreseen unchanged at 2%, which is their target usually on the quarterly basis. But for today's support, you can look for 1.1762 and 1.1748, and for the resistance 1.1795 and 1.1815. The last thing we have is the British pound against the US dollar. So right here, the pound dollar was actually declined yesterday below the 1.3845 level due to the demand of the dollar. So for this week, the price of the GBP against the dollar is solely relying on the demand of the dollar. So if the demand of the dollar continues, it may ignore the data for UK later. But overall, the UK will release their unemployment rate data, which is foreseen steady at 4.8%, and also the claimant count change that had a 114K on the previous month. But for today's support, we can look for 1.3820 and 1.38. And for the resistance, 1.3870 and 1.39. Again, for the European session, we have claimant count change for UK later at 2 p.m. And also we have unemployment rate and GDP for Eurozone quarterly basis later at 5 p.m. and yearly basis as well for GDP for Eurozone. And US session, we have retail sales monthly basis for July later at 8:30 p.m. So again, yesterday, there's nothing much, but for this week, we have to focus on the claimant count change and GDP for Eurozone and the retail sales. And tomorrow, we have interest rate decision for New Zealand and inflation rate for UK and Canada. And on Thursday, we have FOMC and employment change for Aussie. And also we have the US initial jobless claims, and on Friday, there's nothing much, but based on the calendar, we have inflation rate for Japan, which is yearly basis for the month of July. All right, that is all for our daily briefing today. Thank you everyone for joining. Stay safe and have a great day.